Welcome everyone to the Master Vox, where today we have another riveting Squire Joust Tournament match. With me today, co-casting will be the Graham Slam, and he's going to introduce the players we're seeing today.
Yeah, so on the left in the blue here, we have Rhoda playing as Panzer Division Tatra, and then on the right in the red, we're going with M, that's his name, and he's playing 3rd Fallschirmjäger. Both are balanced, and make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, share it. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say about YouTube, because I don't do YouTube, but yeah, hit those buttons, pump the channel numbers, let's keep the growth going, boys, and get into this hot action.
Yeah, basically, we want to push some buttons, pull some levers, okay? That's all you got to do. I make the content, you guys just consume. It's beautiful.
Let everybody know that you think my voice is better. That's, that's really important. So let's keep that train going.
No. My voice is silky smooth compared to yours over there.
Hell no. I'll say what's not silky smooth. It's this map, Bobber. It's the only river map that I will play anymore. Like, because I don't play in tournaments and stuff. Yeah. But like in just quick play, it's the only one I'll play because it's kind of okay-ish.
Well, I think with this map, like looking at it right now, right, the northern portion, this hill is so crucial, right?
Yeah.
So if blue can push through, it can create a defensive line and prevent anything coming in, because that's just an open field. It's the Gettysburg of World War II over here. They just get mowed down.
Yeah, you really need to push it quickly off the start. If you're going to be from blue side, so from Rhoda pushing into the red hill, like you need to take that, because that can net you 3 flags pretty much off the get, and then maybe you can pair that into a 4th flag as you go a little bit further south into that kind of like that peninsula area. We do see an early Ju-87 being called here by Rhoda because his push is getting kind of slowed down here. These Volkssturm just are not going to be effective fighting against Fallschirmjäger that are entrenched in vehicles and buildings.
Oh yeah, especially Fallschirmjäger with that sniper rifle, because that sniper rifle is going to do like quadruple the damned suppression because it's a disheartened infantry unit.
Yeah, absolutely. Instant.
Ooh,
yeah, it's a nice bomb trap right there by the 87. She will probably die though to the R6 right here, so I don't know if that's a good trade because it didn't even kill the Fallschirmjäger, so probably not. Yeah. Now, if he is able to clean this up, then yeah, I could see it being kind of worth. But I think this SPW's in. Oh no, never mind. The Pooch is dead. So he's gonna get some games.
So this clown car is literally just about to like run over this man's hopes and dreams. So we're actually seeing Rhoda being able to take that northern portion from the Fallschirmjäger.
Yeah, it's important for him to get this spot here. I typically view that as like the secondary objective when you're pushing to the top. But hey, he's kind of like you said, he's Gettysburg walking it up there in the north. Though there are some SPWs coming in, so I think this might be a little bit temporary. But then again, there's Panzer 3L, and if it can stay alive, that could be decisive in the engagement.
Yeah, and that Panzer 3L, even though it's light armor, it should be able to deal with most of the things that M can actually put out, especially in A phase. Because he's going to probably be relying on those Panzer L6s, maybe a Stug, but these Auto Blendas with their APHE are just going to like wreck that super light skin stuff.
Yeah, and that's why you want to make sure the APCR is turned off here for the Panzer 3L. Get it to, get a nice little engagement there from the Light Forest. He's not really reacting, Rhoda, so, these SPWs might just end up cleaning up the 1-2-3-1 here. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you don't want that to happen. You don't want to just have your 2-3-1 get, tag teamed right there and then open.
All right, I'm going to point out something real quick. We got a super sneaky Sturmgrenadier in the south, right? So he's taken a flag from M without M even noticing, just because of some, like, real quick movements. Now, I don't agree with what he's doing here, which is pushing up into the town. Just keep it real sneaky, real simple. Like, take the flag. Don't make too much of a ruckus. Don't draw attention, especially with that sharpshooter about to start shooting at him. There we go.
Yeah, he's overextended it a little bit there, and that's going to kind of give... Eventually, I think M is going to realize, hey, my sniper team is engaging somebody. And so, while the Sturmgrenadier... Oh, the Pak-40 might... No, I think the sniper should probably still out DPS the Sturmgrenadier, or at least suppression, not DPS. Though the Pak-40 is getting some damage in, so maybe this will work out. Yeah, actually,
yeah, no, it's going to work out, just because that MG42 from the Sturmgrenadier, that's just going to absorb the shots, and the Pak-40 is going to kill it.
Yeah, and now, but one thing Rhoda has invested already into 3 separate planes, because we see the DO-217 coming out here now.
Yeah.
Now that is pretty cheap. It's 55 points. He spent 85 points for the bomb, or for the fighter, and then another 75 on his Ju-87. So he's invested a pretty significant amount of his early income, these first 5 minutes, into aircraft. And while it is balanced on balance, so I don't think that's like you know, if this was a Maverick play, I'd be really worried for him. It is an interesting choice because it doesn't really planes a lot of times at this stage of the game don't really move the front line, and the trades they're a little harder to kind of like get, I think, with planes at this stage of the game.
Yeah, I think that planes, like maybe that early GU87, could get an exponential like growth on their value because you can take out support equipment after support equipment before an AA net's actually put up.
True. Yeah.
But right now, I agree with you. I think there might be a little bit of an overinvestment in planes, and you have to think this is a balance on balance. So this game, unlike most of the other things we've seen, is literally just a trade fest. Like, which one can trade better?
Poopchin and the Stuk 3 duking it out up there in the middle bridge. Poopchin missed its first shot. That's why I always bring the Poopchin double vet. So that way she never misses, at least it feels like. But yeah, still doesn't matter. Gets the kill, and that's huge right there for the Poopchin. Yep. And then we see these aircraft up here, G2 versus a R6. If the R6 should get the kill here, I would prioritize the BF-109 over the 217. But I think he's going to get the kill either way. Yeah, and he will.
Yeah, he got that kill. And then we have another 217 coming in. Oh, so this one's going to try to head on that 109, but I don't think it's going to be able to with that 109 pulling out.
No, that's a very smart move by M right there. Go ahead. Hey, I would have gone for the fighter, but it doesn't matter. You go in, you get a plane snipe, and then get out really quick because you're outnumbered. And that 217 will mess you up in a head-on. And then there is one Flak 36 up there, which is going to get some good damage here onto the G2. And while it won't kill it, you don't really want to have your 109s chilling, around 37 mil anti-aircraft pieces for long.
Oh no, 37 mils will just wreck any.
Oh, she's smoking.
Oh.
Yeah, she's smoking. She's damaged. Yeah, that's good for M right there. And I think that's a very good trade for M. He also forced out another plane buy, so you see like Roda's kind of just feeding into that, and that might be because his division, it's a little weird. Tatra is they're kind of ghetto, right? But they have a lot of what I would say is like power creep benefits to it that can make it pretty dangerous.
It used to be really, really good in the old power creep meta. Also, I'm going to point out down south with that Sturm Grenadier dying, he lost that flag, so he's no longer getting that like super sneaky like one flag up on M and then forcing M to pay attention to the entire front, because most of the action, if we're not going to lie here, is up north. We have auto blendas just going around the back lines like with those APHE shells. Ooh.
Yeah, it's the commitment right there of the little auto blenda hit squad. It's going to be really annoying because there's not a lot of light AT really for Tatra. Sure, you have Painter Trick squad, but he brings a pack 40. You really don't want pack 40s having to do CQC with SPWs, right? Versus the Krupp, but you really don't want your Krupp having to do that. That's meant to kill big boy targets. So he doesn't really have a lot of options right now because he only has the one card of SPWs yet, and I don't think we've seen the other ones in a minute.
No, we haven't seen any Panzer L6s either, so this has all just been the AB41, that auto blenda hit squad. Now, one thing I want to point out, one thing I really like about Tatra, and this was before the Bulgarians came out, was just that Panzer 38T, the availability to have that super light armor for, 20 points? Like, oh no, I have a 37 mil, but do you have anything to kill something with a 37 mil?
No, I agree with you 100%. And if you're Roda, like, you should be using those units. Like, yes, your Stug is nice, but really the Stug's not going to give you a huge advantage at this stage of the game. Plus, third Fallschirmjäger isn't a real big armor player in general. Your light armor typically will be enough. Like, you don't need to get the big boys out early. Use those Panzer 38Ts. You can get a lot of them out even with your income and A phase. Supplement them with some Panzer 3Ls and your autocannons to back up that garbage bullet soaking infantry. And I think you have a really good dynamic right there. But we just haven't seen that.
No, we haven't. And the other thing I'm going to point out real quick is, I know this is a Squire Joust Tournament, so we want to try to improve players while we're casting, right? So,
Hot.
I know, right? The Panzer 3Ls, I would honestly recommend turning off APCR unless you're fighting like medium armor. So with what we're seeing right now, Rhoda is only seeing light auto blendas in the northern portion. So turn off those APCR and only let the AP shell from that 50 mil be able to kill off those clown cars with one shot, right? Compared to what we saw earlier with the Panzer 3Ls wasting their APCR that they'll need against the Stugs later on those auto blendas.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. If you're not fighting a heavy, really like the Panzer 3L, where I think the APCR comes into values when you're fighting Shermans. Like that's really where that's where it gets the Panzer 3L a really nice, a decent chance at engaging that kind of like medium armor which it kind of like, if it's, you know, the Panzer 3L, I guess, is technically kind of like a medium tank, but it's really more of a light tank in Eugen world.
Yeah.
So, by the way, that flak furling, Roda was able to bait that R6 over that flak furling in the back, and so it got a nice little playing kill there for Roda. I think it's the first big mistake I've seen M make so far, and losing his fighter. And now there's two 109s up. I'm not really sure what his goal will be, unless he's just trying to create like a permanent, like, you know, cap.
Yeah, he's trying to strafe right now against M's SS or Fallschirmjäger that the Volkssturm are trying to engage right now, I think is what it is.
Yeah, because he has the Feldjäger tied to them, and so obviously because they're military police, they remove that, you know, it's the negative traits there, the Volkssturm. But these are the only Feldjäger that I think are really valuable. Oh, there's one on 52nd Security Division. They have a good one too with a sniper.
Yeah.
But because they have the sniper and the 4 MP44s, this is actually a pretty solid unit to bring in the support tab to pair with your Volkssturm. Or you can use them like separately to kind of like hold like a little spot. But once again, a Stug pushing up unsupported right there. You do not want to push up against the 3rd Fallschirmjäger in those kind of situations because the poop chin is just so disgusting when it comes to obliterating vehicles.
Yeah, it's a super long-range Panzerschreck. I mean, it's got a 40% accuracy, which is the exact opposite of a Panzerschreck here. But that 12 damage with 200 millimeters of penetration means whatever it sees, if it hits, it connects, it's dead, right? And that's the beauty of the pooption. But again, it is super low range, 750 meters. Whew, that's knife fighting. That's where I like to play.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where it gets hot and heavy. And so like, and that's why I vet mine. That way, like when it shoots, like I really need it to hit. Because it'll die pretty quick, especially to infantry. Like if infantry find the crew-mounted weapon that close to it, he's getting pretty much all the fire right into him. So you don't want him to kind of lose him there. We do see more Emmv pushing up Fallschirmjäger along with some Fallschirmjäger Panzerabwehr into the middle portion of that peninsula right there.
Yeah.
The Pioneers could push up with it. This could be a nice little push, but he's gonna need Pioneers, I think, in front of those Fallschirmjäger because you don't want them going in there and running in the Pioneer MG26s because that's one of the best Pioneer squads you can get in the game by having that MG26 for CQC.
Yeah, just because it has that automatic rifle, so every single thing within 100 meters is engaging that. I really like what M is doing here with these Fallschirmjäger FG42s, which is being able to put them on the corner of the green cover, firing into yellow cover. So if anything does push forward, it will get fucked up royally just because we have FG42s, G43s, 2 MG42s. Like, it's just a fire sale of amazing German weapons at the time.
Well, that's where it's important, like, as you get more game knowledge and you start to see, hey, do you understand how these infantry dynamics work, right? And like you just talked about it. The Fallschirmjäger excel at that transition point from like that medium intermediary range where you can get you get the FG42s, the G43s, and your MG42s all engaging at the same time. And well, they aren't necessarily the greatest CQC unit, and they aren't necessarily the greatest long-range unit. They annihilate almost everything in that intermediate range.
Exactly. Now, one thing I'm going to point out down in the center town right now, it looks like Roda has pushed through with some Sturmgrenadier and some Pioneers to take a little bit of a beachhead, right? One thing I'm going to point out that M can be doing right now, and I love that he's moving his mortars after every shot. This is something you do not see much. But if he has eyes on that Stug with that Fallschirmjäger ZF, he can then use those mortars, especially with the radio, to be able to do one volley into that Stug, and it should actually kill it with HE damage. I used to do that in 10v10s all the time against King Tigers when people would leave it still. Yeah,
I also love that, like, you know, he was like, hey, I have radio mortars. That used to be like a really big thing for 3rd Fallschirmjäger. I think we kind of forget that, but when that was added to the game, it gave a massive amount of firepower indirectly for 3rd Fallschirmjäger. And we just saw right there, it stunned all those Sturmgrenadiers and Pioneers. It killed one of them right off the bat, and now he's going to push up here, knowing that his infantry is suppressed. If he just brings his one poop ship up here a little bit further, he can get that Stug on the bridge, and he could think about going across the river if he wanted to.
Yeah, the counterattack's going to be huge here because we don't see Roda having anything like a secondary fallback line, even with a single Volkssturm squad, to try to pretend like you have units in an area.
Yeah, right. Yeah, now I will say M did push across in the middle there, or the peninsula with the Fallschirmjäger, and they were pretty much decisively defeated, pretty close to it. If you're trading MG26 Pioneers for Fallschirmjäger squads, you're doing really well. That 10-point difference does matter in these type of games, especially in balance on balance, where your trades, because you have the same income, the trading, you really want to be above 1-to-1 right there.
Yeah, no, like with this, it's like, do I value the long game through trades, or do I value like trying to get those tickets, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think that what we're seeing here is Rhoda is trying to push into different areas, valuing the flags more than valuing the trades, because he's throwing away Volkstrom, he's throwing away Stugs, he's trying to keep pushing, and he's trying to be aggressive, which I love, right? Be aggressive,
Yeah.
be aggressive. But at the same time, M is simply holding back and he's absorbing these pushes. And I think what we're going to see here is we're going to see a very slow chipping away of Rhoda's ability to eventually deal with M's inevitable counterattack.
Yeah, if he can piece it all together, I think eventually, M has definitely won the trade so far, outside of a couple situations there, like we just saw with the Fallschirmjäger kind of losing. We're going to see this Panzer 3L go down to the Stug right here.
Yep.
APCR missed because it was penetrate the first time. That MG26 infantry, that should go down. A big thing as well is, like, he's traded out a lot of... Oh, another Stug.
Oh, Poopshin goes down to the Poopshin, yep.
Like, he's losing a lot of these units, and so sure, he's gained some territory, but look, in reality, it's 12-12. We're 13 minutes into this, we're right.
I think, like, yeah. Like, the reverse clock kills me every time. Like, I understand.
Yeah, I was like, am I dumb? Can I do math? Answer is no. But either way, the HE-111 here is going to come in. That's more points that he's put into planes, and he knows there's the flak guns in the back line there.
Yeah.
And so I really... Like, bombing that area is like, he might get a kill here. I didn't even kill it. No. So the Fallschirmjäger Pioneer is going to live only 3 HP of damage as well, so that really isn't worth it in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's now bringing up the heavy artillery. It's possible that could work by going and getting these...
Oh
these
my
pieces
god.
out.
4 pieces already? What?
Yeah, he just did a big point drop right there, along with the 2-7 coming out. I don't think that'll do much. And he's going to try and just, I think, drag this into an artillery fest.
Yeah.
Which Patra can kind of do that. There is a lot of artillery that you can put into it. I don't understand, though, like, looking at his deck. We talked about this at the end of last game. Hey, would you like to get advice on decks? And I'm not quite up to the snuff, as I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I don't know why he brings 150 and A as balance. Like, that makes no sense.
Let's look here. Yeah, that doesn't really make sense to me either. I think that especially as a balanced player, put your 150s in C. But
Absolutely.
I'm not even going to talk about the fact that there is no C card of infantry for Rhoda. So
Yes, that's it. Yeah, and that's also like a big thing. When we look at, when you're looking at the game, you're like, okay, they're going? We got trades going this way. I think M's winning the trades, but Tatra can get kind of deep in the infantry tab. But he's not deep in the infantry tab. He stops at
he stops at B phase, yeah.
Yeah, so that as a balanced player on a river map against another balanced player, that means your trades early have to work. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to get good early trades. And the fact that most of the Volkstrom here, at least 50%, have already been killed, he's going to force them to start relying on better infantry. And that's just, it's going to start getting pretty difficult to go against. Look at the Pioneer Fuhrer getting killed there by the Fallschirmjäger Pioneer.
But at the same time, like, M is pushing forward finally with that close quarters, like, troops that he needs. So
Yeah.
I think that creating that blocking position earlier with those Fallschirmjäger FG-42s, and then eventually when your Fallschirm Pioneers take the position, you can then move your, like, line of defense forward to then create a, like, base of fire. I think that's a good way to do a hopscotch, or like a hop and a skip kind of a way. Or passage of lines is what it's technically called. To be able to constantly influence and keep your, like, combat power instead of throwing those line infantry that need to be within 400 meters, honestly, especially with these Fallschirmjägers. Like 4 to 5, wherever the G43s end. Because their range is 500, yeah. So anything under 500 meters is where you want those Fallschirmjägers to just become blenders.
Blender. Absolutely. That 500-meter range is, like, that intermediate infantry range is where they just excel, because there's so much firepower coming out that one time. And so by continuing to take engagements in that range, and even now, right now he's taking engagements because he's running into the snipers. So the snipers are getting free shots in on the MG26 Panzergrins, which in theory, they should be really good in CQC against the Fallschirmjäger, because they can use their double automatic rifles. But they're not even going to get a chance to do that.
No, because that 1,000-meter range on a sniper rifle in an infantry squad is just crazy.
Massive. It's massive. There's more Fallschirmjägers coming in, and that's a problem when you're facing Fallschirmjäger, is that if you start to trade negatively against them, it's like a compounding effect, because they're gonna have those squads are gonna live. You're already kind of have the worst squad, and so it just continues. And next thing you know, you're facing more and more of them. A big way to counter Fallschirmjäger early is mortar play. Like, that's one of the best ways you can counter them, is by continually chip away at them, get good damage. They're expensive, and if you're killing Fallschirmjäger squads with your mortars or stuff like that for free, that's a huge loss for the Fallschirmjäger player.
Yeah, any support infantry weapons that can like tip balances, like if you're talking about like shitty 20-point infantry squads versus a 40-point Fallschirmjäger, you think about this: if you pin them, if you alter that fight in any way to include having a 20-point Panzer T-38, right? Because they can't penetrate it at more than 120 meters. And you start creating your own compounding effect of, oh god, the Fallschirmjäger player who needs 35 points to 40 points for his good infantry suddenly just doesn't have the amount of infantry it needs because of those support elements to your infantry.
Yeah, absolutely. I can agree with you completely. Real quick, down south, the push is still going in here for Roda up the hill. I don't think this is where I would have pushed, but he's putting a lot of effort into here. Taking losses, though. We see a 410 coming in it's already stunned that Panzer Grenadier. I don't think you need the 410 right there.
Yeah.
And the G2, G2 strafing just really isn't worth it anymore. Eugen's nerfed plane strafing pretty heavily. So there are certain ones that I think that's still a viable tactic, but those weaker BF-109s, you're just kind of like, you're wasting ammo, you're wasting the plane, the points to buy it if you're going to go use it to strafe entrenched infantry squads. It's not valuable.
Yeah, I think it's the 30mm 109 is actually still good at strafing, but yes. Jesus Christ, I remember back in like 2020 playing this game and dealing with people just strafing me, and it was the most annoying thing ever.
Your AAP's getting strafed by the plane?
Yeah, no, everything was getting strafed by everything. I remember, who was it? The dude with the picture from Doctor Strangelove.
No idea.
Can't remember.
Great movie though.
Yeah, great movie. He used to play Panzer Lehr, and I used to play in like tournaments. Like I think it was like Steel Division League Division, or it was Division 3, the 3rd season, I think. Dude literally just bought Focke-Wulfs and just strafed everything. Like there was nothing but Focke-Wulf strafing me, and I couldn't do anything after a while because they would be able to strafe even the AA pieces. So I think Eugen, by nerfing that strafing ability, helped a lot. And wasn't it Mr. Crisp's Red's Rising mod or whatever it was that made strafings? Yeah, Red Storm. You couldn't strafe ground targets, right?
No, fighter planes couldn't strafe ground targets, and there was very specific planes that could, right? Bombers or fighter bombers that were meant to go ahead and do that. So it created a pretty different, balance situation. But plane strafing was always that weird thing. It was kind of like, are we really just going to have like the fighter plane just strafe everything to that damage suppression? And I'm glad they eventually fixed that. It did take a while. And certain planes today in the game are still okay at it. But you see here, like the G2 trying to strafe that Fallschirmjäger, like he did no damage. Maybe like a
quarter suppression. I'll give it a benefit of the doubt.
I think he was already hit by something, but you see here, like, look.
Oh, that didn't even do a damn thing. No kill, no suppressions at all.
He missed there too. Yeah, he was strafing the fire position with the strafe, which just isn't worth it. And plus the BF-109s for the most part, they're really like the resiliency isn't good enough for them to want to do strafing, especially when there's 37 mils around, because they can die really quick to like a couple 20 mils, a 37 or 2 in the right spot, and next thing you know, you're losing fighter planes because you wanted to try and suppress like a Fallschirmjäger squad.
Yeah. And one thing that we were talking about here with that compounding effect of the Fallschirmjäger and why you need to trade really well like with them, look what we have here. The entire northern portion is just getting flooded with 1 to 2 star high quality infantry, and we're seeing high quality. And we're seeing Roda just start dumping in no vet Panzer Grenadier MG26s and just your normal Panzergrens, but he's not having support equipment, and he's about to start trying to trade 20-point infantry into 35 to 40-point infantry.
Yeah, absolutely. And the trades have just been in M's favor so heavily, from pretty much the start of this game, it gets harder and harder to see, hey, where's Roda going to get back into it? And there's been a lot of his decision making. I think Tatra is a good division, and there are matchups there that I think you could use. there's certain or qualities of the division that he could use to beat the superior infantry of 3rd Fallschirmjäger. We just haven't seen that paired together. And like you just said, now you're going to take unvetted Panzergrenadiers with MG26s, or just Grenadiers, right, and throw them against double vet, single vet, triple vet Fallschirmjäger. It's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. And I think one thing here I'm going to point out, even if you're newer, if you're bringing in like these 105s, defensive fire, put it on a position. It's not cheating. It's in the game, right? And let it hammer away at something. Or just put it on fire at will, say, fuck it, inshallah, and then let the Eugen gods determine what your 105s fire at. Because right now, each one of these having 30 shells, basically.
2 of them have 30.
Yeah.
Two of them haven't fired.
Yeah, they haven't fired. Like, just send the shells at this point. Just whatever you got. Even if Eugen decides for you where those shells are going, at least it's influencing either the front line or an opponent's, support equipment.
Yeah, so, just right there, he has 150 points in artillery that hasn't even fired a shell. Let alone accrued any value, right? Not even a shell has left the tube. He's now starting to fire, and he's listening to us in real time. One of them's going to fire here. But really, buying 4 artillery pieces almost never works in this game outside of a 10v10 situation, because it's just while artillery can be very effective in ST2, the odds of you getting that much value at one period of time from your artillery it's just really low. Plus, you're ceding a lot of momentum. That's at least a minute, maybe 2 minutes of where you're gonna have nothing going to the front line. So I would recommend you buy artillery in 1s or 2s at max. I would never just quad buy it. That's a lot of points into some old Czech artillery pieces.
Now, the one thing I will say about the artillery pieces, I think for divisions with really shitty infantry, but lots of them, right? Artillery, mortars, 105s, especially if they have radio, are super needed because they'll start, you defensive fire over the area you want to have that engagement. You choose that zone. You throw your shitty Festoon Grenadier or whatever you have into that engagement, you draw out the enemy, the defensive fire starts hitting them, and then your second wave of infantry can start pushing through higher quality stuff. So I don't personally view the 105s as a detriment, because if he used them properly, he would be able to start retaking ground,
No, I completely agree. And also, because this is, even though he's been out-traded, it is 1311, it's still only 1311 here for M, and it's not like M hasn't been ticked down. The problem comes that because his deck doesn't have a lot of substance past the A phase, this almost looks to me like a Vanguard deck, with just a balance, slapped onto it. Because if you look at it, you have Volkssturm in A, it's fine, Sturm Grenadiers are in A, Pioneer MG26s are in A, I mean, a lot of armor in A, even the Krupp, the Krupp's brought in A, 150 brought in A, all the planes with the HE-111s. So, that kind of screams to me he wanted to put out a lot of stuff and be aggressive in A, which we saw, right? That's what he kind of wanted to do. But the income doesn't allow you to do that.
Yeah, no, even the Verflob in an A kind of tells me that he needs that to break an area to push through it. And honestly, honestly, if you want to have the best of both worlds between Balanced and Vanguard, but you want to suffer just a little bit, I'm telling you, Rhoda, try V for Victory. Take this deck, switch out a card, or add a card to C-Phase Infantry, take out, I don't know, the Panzer 4H and B, roll with it, and then see how you like that, because you'll get your aggression that you want in A, but you'll also have that balanced ability in C in case everything goes pear-shaped,
Yeah, I'd also say building decks, if you guys are going to be playing in tournament, people are going to be playing in tournaments, edit your deck for what your opponent has picked. Don't just bring your generic Tatra deck out that you use in quick play or the rank queue, bring to a tournament, because there's no point. A good example for Rhoda would be, why do you have the Krupp against 3rd Fallschirmjäger? You know what I mean? What's the Krupp? Its single purpose is to obliterate heavy tanks. So if you're playing in quick play, you're going to want it because there's a high chance you're going to run into some dude who wants to spam you with IS2s, right? Or the occasional Chad King Tiger enjoyer. For the most part, that's not a real thing. So you can get rid of that right there and get you something else to help. What he really needs is a C-phase card of infantry. That's I would say the biggest need. That's what you really need if you're gonna play balance. That's what you would need.
I want to point out in the center or the southern town right now, we're having a ton of Sturm Pioneer get ready to push, go over the top using that smoke. And when he finds out all that's there is a single Volkssturm squad, whoa, this is gonna get real spicy.
Yeah, I think this kind of right here shows that there is a skill gap between the two players. Just the fact that, like, it's typically it takes like Div 4, Div 3, at least in the old league, before you saw players really use smoke properly, right?
Yeah.
And while he's kind of going a little slow here, he has the idea of like, hey, I'm going to smoke up, I'm going to get my CQC infantry into this town, and they're going to burn everything alive. And that's the right thought process. Execution, he could use a little work, right? But we all can. I think it's really smart. It's a good idea. I would encourage him to start moving now, but there's also only one Voltron squad, so it's not a big deal. I would also say this is where I can say that I'd hate the shock system or trait added into the game to the Sturm Pioneers, because it literally turns them into like, flamethrower death machines in CQC.
Yeah, because they take what is it? They take 50% less suppression or something, right?
Yeah. It's a. Is it 50? Let me see.
I don't know. I can't pull it up.
Doesn't tell me. Yeah. It is a significant number that turns them into monsters to the point where it's like, yeah, I need my shock flamethrower infantry. Like you should always have it.
But at the same time, I'm going to point out that the Soviets got a massive buff with that shock trait. The Avtos, if you take 2-star Avtos, you get 11 of them in B phase. Any Soviet deck, just take your fucking pick. Throw them into a town and watch things just melt. No officer around. 2-star Avtos. Oh my god. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily against having traits in the game. Once again, shout out to Mr. Chris. I think Red Storm did traits very well.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think I've liked the way that Eugen's implemented some of them currently, because the balance dynamic between some of the traits is pretty wild. It's gotten it started off as what we had. Just Fanatical was the first trait, right? Fanatical,
Disheartened. Disheartened was the first trait, and then it became Fanatical. Then they had the War Crime Simulator, because Fanatical couldn't actually take surrendering troops. And then they fixed that finally after a year. And then they added Raider. Raider was the next one, I think. But that that increases stealth.
I thought it just allowed,
right?
Yeah, I thought it just allowed them to operate. Yes, they have a 50% stealth bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's stealth, and you can operate behind enemy lines because we're seeing the flamethrowers. We're seeing the flamey death machines going across finally.
Hans is going in.
But yeah,
He's got the Flammenwerfer.
And then after Raider, they kind of just went off the rails with all the different traits, because we got Shock, Commando. Yeah, like all the random things.
Yeah, I think it's gotten to a point to me with the traits where it adds a level of complexity to the game that just isn't necessary. Like at first I didn't care. Like disheartened, that makes sense, right? Because like in World War II, there are a lot of dudes drafted into these armies that did not want to be there, and the minute they could dip, they were going to dip, right? That's real. So that's a cool dynamic. I didn't even mind Fanatical at first. I actually am one of the few, I think, enjoyers that thought that it was a balancing aspect, that you could have an infantry unit that, sure, you can't you can't surrender them, but they can't surrender anything else, because what's a big thing at top play? Getting a bunch of surrenders, right? You go behind it, get surrenders, now you blow them the front open, bam. That's like a core aspect of really aggressive, especially back then, Vanguard Maverick play, and that was kind of a slight nerf to that type of, if you're going to use that infantry for that. So I preferred it actually back then.
Yeah, and now we're seeing that Battery Fuhrer get Oh, look at the artillery! He lost the ground. He's plastering it now. He doesn't give a shit about anyone in that area. Free real estate for 105 check guns.
Yeah, though he's starting to run out of ammo for some of them. So he has at least gotten some value. I don't think he's gotten value out of real value out of these.
No.
But at least they've shot their ammunition. He's done some damage, like some HP, that's for sure, but there's a second wave, or at least, a minor wave could come back through here. Plus, I don't think he has radio coverage up. No, he doesn't.
So, he does not. So this is all just random. One thing I'm gonna point out right now is I think that Rhoda needs to look at his pushes, right? Because if you look at the South, he doesn't have an ability to support the pushes he's doing. Versus if he just stays on his side of the river, he can put up some AT guns, some machine guns, and hold off anything. I think the main fight of this map every time needs to be up north. And what we're seeing right now is M is just taking and holding the entire north almost.
Yeah, if you're on red, so if you're at M's position, pushing down from that hill can be really nice sometimes because you can get good fire support or good angles to get into the opposing town because you know the blue side is going to push your hill up in the north. So it can make for a good counterplay action to at least disrupt your opponent. But I really don't think from Roda's side it's ever good to try and go across there because you have to go across that bridge. You're looking up, right? And then your infantry is probably walking through the forest, walking through the river, and then going up a hill to then get engaged. And the KD reflects it.
Yeah, so like we were talking about earlier, I think M did a good job with the trades. I really like Roda's aggression. I think it just needs to be focused, and I think he needs to do some deck building to improve himself to be able to do those trades a little bit better or recover from bad trades. So I think that both players did good things in this game, and we were able to talk about it. And I think it's just a great way to like show the Steel Division community because you know what? In a few months, if Roda or M pop back on this channel, we're going to talk about how much they've improved.
Yes, you're going to get piped up by your boys on the YouTube channel.
Yep, the Master Vox is all about growing the Steel Division community to include mostly the Squire Jousts, because I actually enjoy the Kingdom of the Noobs. Also, speaking of that, in the description below, you can join that Discord and jump into some tournaments yourself if you so choose.
Oh.
I know, fancy it. There's not just Steel Division League out there for playing.
I don't think that's a thing anymore. I'm pretty positive. I think Steel Division League is dead.
Oh shit! Well, I guess
someone comment. Someone put in the comments. This is a good time for you to show the two casters your knowledge. I don't think that SD League is currently doing that anymore. I think.
Oh damn! Gone. So Hobo outlasted them. He just jumped on one too many trains.
Crazy Hobo.
Yeah. All right. And with that, please, if you've enjoyed the content so far, you want to see more in the future, like, comment, subscribe, comment. Whatever. Yeah, comment. Yeah, tell us about the SD League and the stuff going on there.
Hit the like button.
Yeah. And with that, we will see you again sometime next week for the next Squire Joust cast. So thank you, everyone, and see you next week.